Hey there. Welcome to the Senior Archivist podcast, where we document and collect stories of everyday people. These stories range from anything from the mundane to the extraordinary, but they're all as real as the people who tell them. We record at kitchen tables, small offices, laundry rooms, and back porches in order to ensure the most authentic, comfortable experience for our storytellers. These podcasts usually have very little structure and wander from topic to topic, but isn't that the charm of a casual conversation between two humans? So come along, meander with us through a small piece of someone's life, and maybe we'll both learn something together. This interview is very special to me. Today I'm sharing my grandfather with y'all, James Porky Griffith, or Paw Paw to me. This interview was originally recorded in February of 2023, when I had just gotten my recording equipment, and while I was still figuring out how to, soundproof a room. My Paw Paw and my dad were kind enough to come over one Saturday afternoon to let me practice recording and interviewing. When I originally had the idea to start this podcast, I had some knowledge and experience about video editing, but was completely new to EQ controls and audio interfaces. While that sound and video quality may be lackluster, it was a great learning experience and helped me record other interviews. Unfortunately, life got in the way, and this, along with a few other interviews, sat gathering dust on my computer for 2 years. My Paw Paw unfortunately passed away on December 6th of 2024. He is deeply missed by everyone in our family. During that celebration of life, my dad, a man of very few words, spoke and shared some fun stories about my Paw Paw. One of which was how my Paw Paw went on strike at one point during his printing career. As I sat in the front row, listening to my dad brave the crowd, that story dusted off a certain memory box I had forgotten about. The memory of this little interview we did on a cold February afternoon. So now, even though he is gone, that 1 hour he spent with me in my laundry room with haphazard soundproofing helped me not only learn more about this whole podcasting thing, but how to be brave, to try something new and to put my work out there. As you will hear in this interview, my Paw Paw worked for 30 years in the printing business before being laid off. During that time, he took the leap of faith into opening his own small business and learning the wrecker and towing side of things. Thus, Griffith Towing was born. That company went on to be the reason why my dad was able to provide for my sister and I, and when they eventually sold, was the reason why my Paw Paw could retire. That company was a huge leap of faith and a testament to my Paw Paw's work ethic. It's an inspiration to all of us Griffiths, and I wanted to channel some of that inspiration into actually finishing this video. Because even in death, he is taking care of us, and he is helping us live a better life. Something he would often say is the greatest gift you can give someone is your time. So I'm giving him back a fraction of time to repay the years he gave to me. And this is for my dad. I wanted to honor my hero, my father, by giving him the sound of his hero, laughing and speaking and retelling his stories. So Merry Christmas, Dad. And this is why I couldn't wrap your gift. And hello to the rest of my family, since I know this is going to get shared around. Please enjoy. So I got all of this stuff to facilitate that, I guess, if that makes sense. But I told Daddy I need to practice and make sure that my setup is going to work and if I need to change anything. So you kind of got roped into it as well. But since both of y'all are here,
that dog wants out.
he does probably. Here, let me let him out real quick. But since both of y'all are here, I guess we could talk about, I was going to ask you about your life, but we could talk about how, y'all started Griffith Towing, because I don't know that story, technically. So because I just remember, it being little. When I was little, it was based out of your house in Horn Lake. Mm-hmm. Whose idea was, the whole towing in general?
Well, me, I was out of work. Mm. And I've been thinking about getting out of the printing business for a while. Mm-hmm. So I used to ride by and see Mr. Ed's wrecker service up there at the railroad track.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And I'd see Mr. Ed and what's the other guy, Mr. Willie?
Yeah, Willie Cook.
Willie Cook. And I see those two guys sitting up in there on their butt all the time. And I said, man, that looks like a job I need right there. I'm getting at retirement time, and
And
anyway,
he had a bunch of older guys working for him too at the time.
Yeah.
Jimmy and a couple other guys, they wasn't young by no means.
What's old?
John Caldwell worked for him a little while.
Yeah. What's that old smart butt guy that's
Stone.
Stone?
Stone wasn't no young guy either.
Right.
Tim Stone's uncle.
You say they're like 50s
They
or
were in
60s?
their 50s, yeah.
Oh,
Some of
okay.
them may have been early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely in their 50s.
But
How old was you when you started Griffith towing?
man, let's see. I was born in '44, and I started that. When did we buy that black truck? Was that 40? That
It was 97.
97.
So what, 1940?
44 to 97.
97 model, wasn't it? Or 99?
No, that black one was. It was
Thought it was a 97. And I thought you towed, what, a year or two before that.
well, I drove the black Ford. I mean the white Ford for a couple of years.
So 95?
95.
You'd have been about 51.
I was about 50, 51.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just thought I'd like it, and I did. I really did. Scott seen how much fun I was having, so he decided he wanted to too.
Is that what you would call it, as fun?
Well, we started off, and it wasn't really that bad.
No.
We was learning stuff every day. Every day we went to work, we was learning stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we just see when did we get Jerry?
Oh, man.
He just about hired himself. He said he wanted to go to work for us. He didn't want to.
So Jerry and Carl had the shop up there,
Right.
and we started renting half of the lot. And basically, and him and Carl decided to shut the shop down. And Jerry said he needed a job. And Jerry drove a truck for several years. He's a heck of a truck driver. He never done any wrecking. So the truck driving he had down, we just had to teach him how to run a wrecker. And of course,
Okay.
he picked it right up.
Right.
You know, he mechanic, and you know he can work with his hands well. So he just picked it right up.
Yeah, so Mr. Jerry is pretty sharp.
Yes.
Yeah, he kind of just
Yes.
gets it.
He picked it right up.
Yeah. Was it kind of like scary having to like start over, at 50 something in a new career?
No, not really, because I started off out of school. I started off. What was I fixing to say? I started working at a grocery store, and after that, I worked on a blue line machine.
What's a blue line machine?
It's almost like a blueprint.
Oh,
Blueprint machine's got a background that's all blue
okay.
with white letters, and a blue line machine is white with blue letters.
Oh, nice.
It's just opposite from that. And I did that, and then I went to work for a meat container, and I worked for who did I say? Meat container. That's who I worked for, running working on a box press.
Oh, okay.
Renting. It would die cut out the size of the box press, size of the boxes,
And
Okay.
he printed on it too.
printing on
Okay.
it too. And I did that for about,
That was a real hot job, wasn't it?
oh yeah,
How
Only-
much weight did you say you lost doing that job?
I went down about 150.
I was thinking like hot, like he was a good looking hot guy.
Yeah,
Hottest guy there.
He lost like 40 pounds working at that job.
Good Lord. Why?
how are you?
I don't know. He's being all weird.
He's acting weird today, isn't he?
Yeah. He's not used to having company.
He's all excited.
Probably.
Look at his lips.
Why are you quivering? Why?
You want to go outside?
No.
You gonna hike your leg?
No, he just
You
literally
got a poo?
just came back from a walk.
He's scared or something. Look at
Yeah,
him.
I
shaking.
think he's just anxious. Hang on. Let me let him.
You want to go out?
Yeah, let him at least. Like, and
Mama's going to take you out. And
come on. Come on.
seem like a good dog, you know.
He is.
He just got more energy and knows what to do with.
And he just needs some. You got to work with him and train him and stuff. You know, teach him. He ain't never had no teaching or nothing.
He just wandered up too, didn't he?
No, he. Oh,
It's gonna be funny.
But anyway, that's when I got married, when I was working at Meat Container. And Larry Hatley, a boy I've known all my life, he was a printer. He'd been trying to talk me into getting the printing business, learn a trade, good trade, you know.
Yeah.
Back then it was a good trade. And
What year would you say that was?
66, I think.
Okay.
is that when you? What year did you and Mama get married? 65, 4?
64. And what was I going to say? I lost all thought.
That's all right. Well, you were talking about someone trying to get you into the.
Larry Hatley.
Larry Hatley
Yeah.
got me in the printing business. Well, your daddy actually worked there later on,
Lithograph.
lithograph printing.
Yeah. Wasn't that the one in Memphis? Okay.
This is up there by St. Jude Hospital.
Okay. Then I probably drove by it and didn't know it when I was up at St. Jude for a little while.
But I worked for lithograph for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And then I went to work for Holiday Press, which is Holiday Inn, you know.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they had their own like printing thing. Really?
Had their own cabinet company. Had their own
Wow.
furniture.
So did
Had anything to do with the motel.
He done.
so it was kind of like all an in-house kind of thing. Okay. Hang on.
Yep.
All right.
I don't really
No,
care.
it's poo.
Yeah, it's just poo. It's fine.
No poo.
It's just poo. So like so it's like 1966-ish. You're working for Holiday
Lithograph.
Lithograph.
What year did you hire on Holiday? About 70, 69?
67
67 you hired on it?
at
Holiday Inn. Holiday Press.
So they
They
just
called it
did,
Holiday Press.
and they did all, basically it was just for Holiday Inn, but they did everything like in-house for themselves.
They did a little bit outside printing,
Okay.
but mostly
that time I hired on, we were just doing Holiday Inn work.
Okay.
And as we went along, we'd take in another job every once in a while
Okay.
from somebody other than Holiday Inn.
Like if y'all were getting slow or something? Okay. Was that better than lithograph? Was that like an upgrade or about the same?
Oh yeah, I was a helper on a press, and when I went to work at lithograph, and I worked up my way up to running a 30-inch Mealy press.
Oh.
It's the press that Hatley was running for a while. And
Can you tell her that story? I really like that story.
what about Hatley?
Yeah.
What?
So you was running a 2-color press there.
And that
Yeah.
means it's put in 2 different colors?
So color is 4-color process. Every color on that blanket is made by 4 colors.
Okay.
Black, blue, red, yellow.
Right.
Period. They just put different percentages in there.
Okay, like mixing it and
Yeah.
stuff.
So
okay.
he run a 2-color, and then you'd have to run it back through the press and put 2 more colors on it.
Okay.
It's just the way it was back then.
Okay.
Okay. So Larry Hatley tells Pop, he says, hey, he run that 30-inch Mealy was really hard to run. And he tells to Pop, and he says, hey, I'm getting about ready to leave. He said, do you want me to show you how to run this press? Nobody else here can run it.
Oh.
So Pop, am I telling you a story right? Isn't that right? Then he would stay after work on his own time. And he'd show him how to run it. Kept a notebook and everything.
Like you kept a notebook
Yeah.
and everything? Wow. Nice.
So this went on. How long did you do that? You think?
Probably about a year or so.
About a year? That long?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's
So
a
Larry
long
Hadley
time.
got on. He left there and went to a place called
Hanson and Gray.
Hanson Engraving, and got him a better job. You know.
Okay.
Hadley was Hanson Engraving. They would take a job in, like, you know, people would take pictures and everything and get typed, and they'd send it down to Hanson. Hanson would separate the colors and get them where he could get the 4 colors out of yellow, red, blue, and black, and that's where they separate them down there. They had to, and he stayed down there, I don't know, 4 or 5 years probably.
Yeah.
3 or 4 or 5 years, something like that. And he got in the union.
There was a print union.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he got in the union, and I think the commercial appeal was in the union, same union
Okay.
as Hanson Engraving, and
For like printing their newspapers?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Larry left Hanson Engraving and went over to Alco Revere
Okay.
up there on
Right up
Holmes
there,
Road.
Holmes and 51 by that Walmart.
Homes in 51?
Yeah, right up there.
Oh.
It's right up there.
So, a small tangent. That Walmart, when Alexis Bonanno came down here, my very tall, beautiful, blonde, blue-eyed friend, I said, hey, run down to this Walmart over here and, you know, go get this and that. Well, I was talking about this Walmart over here in South Haven. She ran up to that Walmart because technically it's closer. And so she walked into the wrong Walmart. And she said, I've had so many people come and try to help me and hurriedly get me out of the store. But anyway, so like he gets that job, or he's in the union with commercial appeal and all that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that job come open down at Alco Revere. So Larry, through the union, they got him the job, you know, because he's in the same union as them.
Oh, okay.
And he got on there, and I went from, I'd already quit lithography. I was out at
Holiday Press?
Howdy Press.
Yeah.
So Larry leaves lithograph, and they put this guy on the press. He couldn't run that joker.
Nice.
Well, then they put another guy on it. He couldn't run that joker. Pop's the newest guy there now. And another guy put him on it. He couldn't run it. They finally get down there to Pop, put him on that press, and he run it. He run the heck out of that press.
Yeah.
So he just keeps on, and he never asked. He just kept his mouth shut. They finally get to him. So he running the crap out of that press, all right?
Yeah.
And he rocked on there, 6 months, probably? He comes to him, tells him he wants a raise.
Ah.
And they first told him no. And he told him, said, look, I'm the only one to run this press. That's proven.
Yeah.
I was the last one y'all chose. And so I've run it. I done run it for 6 months. So I've proven to you I can run it.
Yeah.
I don't want a raise. And they said, no, I'm giving you no raise. He said, okay, I'll just leave. They were like, oh, wait a minute. So they give him a raise.
Why do you think they weren't going to give you a raise? Just to save money?
Well, most time back then you didn't get no raise in 6 months when you usually took you a couple of years.
Oh, a couple of years.
Yes, so they had old school apprenticeship programs and printing just like plumbing and electrical, like
Okay.
Chris went through.
Yeah.
Same principle. He'd run a small press and move up to a bigger press, and he'd go to nights, move up to a bigger press, and you work the
Okay.
days. Then you go to a bigger press, go back to nights, then you work your way up to days, and you get on a real big press that had 2 or 3 people on it. Well, then you work down here, then you work up to the
Yeah.
second pressman, then you work up to the head pressman.
Okay.
Then you go up to another press. All this takes years.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to master a job.
Yeah.
So you're a feeder operator, then a second pressman, then a head pressman.
Yeah.
And then you change presses, and you might start all over again, or go to at least go to a second press. So all that takes time.
Yeah. So you were kind of doing something that was, I mean, kind of what we do now, or at least my small experience in the workforce, like what we kind of do now. Like you do something, maybe that you weren't originally hired on to do. You do it for a certain amount of time, then you say, hey, I've proven my worth, I want to raise. You did that back then, which is kind of commonplace now, I feel like, at least. So you were pushing it forward there.
Well, I was married, and when was Dwayne born?
66.
So he'd have been like what, 1 or 2 by then?
No, he was.
No, we had
born,
him.
just barely born.
Oh, he's a fresh one.
And we were needing money bad,
Yeah.
We were just barely making it.
Yeah.
How'd you get on the Holiday Press? Did you know somebody over there?
Hadley knew people over there. When they come up, they need somebody. Hadley told me about it, and he knew just about everybody working Holiday Press anyway.
Was that like Holiday Press? Was that the kind of place like you had to know somebody to get into?
It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt anything by knowing people.
Fair enough. Because I know nowadays, like if I want to find a job, I can just look online and there are plenty of openings. Whereas like there are some places you kind of have to like know somebody to really get in. Obviously back then y'all didn't have the internet, so I didn't know if it was you had to kind of know somebody, or you
There was
had
a lot of word of mouth back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's just kind of like the railroad. Gordon Holloway got on. You know how he got on? His daddy worked there and got him on.
Yeah.
And that's one of the strongest unions there was.
Yeah.
The railroads.
Yeah. They don't mess around over there.
And that's how Jeff Hobson got on Consolidated Freightways. His dad and Mr. Sewell, who was a friend of his dad, and we went to school with the Sewells, matter of fact.
Right.
Worked there part-time. He'd worked there part-time for years. He took Jeff up to the union hall, and Jeff joined the Teamster Union first.
Wow.
And then went over there and applied for a job. That's how Jeff got on.
So he kind of did it almost, I don't want to say backwards, but like in a roundabout way. Like
Kind of was backwards, but
got in the union first.
Yeah, but he made people happy, because Mr. Sewell knew people. They told him to go there and join the union first, and then go apply for the job. Then he already had that step already over with.
Yeah.
Instead of hiring on, then you got to join the union. He's already joined the union.
Yeah.
So if he goes to hire on against the next guy hadn't joined, so Jeff's got a leg up on him.
Ah, now that makes sense. Huh. So did you join like the printers union when you went to Holiday?
Well, that's another story, We weren't in the union,
Okay.
and after I'd been there a while, the union was trying to get in.
Okay.
So they didn't get in. We all went on strike. We went on strike for a year.
You were on strike for a year?
Mm-hmm.
So you like didn't go to work?
Didn't go to work.
At least up there you didn't go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Was that, I bet that was stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
what did
it
you
was.
do to like get money or earn money?
I got a job uptown to work for Wilbur Brothers while I was on strike.
Okay.
And I worked there. I carried the picket line, walked the picket line, carried the signs
Wow.
at night. I don't forget what it was. It was about $50 or $75 a week, though.
Wow.
But I had the other job full time,
Yeah.
And we did that.
Why were y'all striking? Like, what were your terms, I guess?
We were trying to get the union in where we get where we be. They got all kinds of fancy talk about why you want it and everything, but it just meant to hopefully we'd have better working conditions
Yeah.
and get more raises and stuff like that.
The union would give you a little more like pull and like say,
Right.
yeah, okay.
And
And it took a year for them to at least like come to an agreement, or
they never come to agreement. Wow. They voted union out. Of course, all those people that were working in there were how you put it, they were scabs.
okay, like snitches, I guess.
No,
No.
just non-union people. They call them scabs.
Non-union.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And me and Irvin Bennett, in my department, my boss, that was over me, he wanted me and Irvin back, and that's all he wanted back.
Wow.
The rest of them he didn't want back out of my department, so they didn't get back in. And I stayed on strike about, I don't know, 8 or 9 months, and I went back to work.
What,
Yeah.
they call you?
Mm-hmm.
Did they offer you like more money or? Wow.
Anything was more money when you on strike.
Fair enough.
What was your boss's name then? That wasn't Clyde Holloway, was it?
No, not then.
Okay.
That was what was that guy's name? He came from Nashville, I think. He hired on there a little bit before we went on strike. But
Hey, Jax wants to be interviewed too.
he
He
was,
has a lot to say.
he was one of the best bosses I ever had.
Is that right?
Really?
That's awesome.
He was a real nice guy.
He was fair at least.
Mm-hmm.
What about, was Clyde a good boss?
Oh yeah, me and him got along real well.
So when I was a kid, Clyde was Pop's boss. Pop was over the sheep fed department. And he was, what, from Arkansas?
Mm-hmm.
He kind of hot-headed. He could, like, what, he'd, like, blow up sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Every once in a while.
But
Everyone,
Pop,
no, that's fine.
I remember you saying he was a good guy because he'd, like, run a press, and although he was in management position, he was
He'd get down there with y'all at least.
well, he knew, but now he wouldn't run a press, but he knew what they were doing, knew how they
Yeah.
were doing it, you know.
He understood the process, so
And
he could like understand
really-
y'all better.
He really helped Dwayne out.
Really.
Pop got Dwayne on down there. You had to go through the state of Mississippi. They were hiring in through the unemployment or something still, and of course Dwayne goes there and fills out that deal, and
Right.
and applies through there, and of course they all tell him he's coming in. You need to get him.
Oh, okay.
So they hire him on, and then he works in the bindery, which is just a bindery's where you cut the paper and you put the books together and mail them out. You had the prep department, the printing department, and then the bindery, and that's the last thing. They put the books together and they ship it out the door.
Was that like, if you could rank those?
That's the lower end of the
I'd
thing.
say that sounds
Unless
like it'd
you're
be
a
at the
machine
bottom.
operator.
Right.
A machine operator in the bindery, pretty close to a pressman, really, wasn't he? Not quite, but he close.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of hand jobs, a lot of non-skilled labor jobs in the bindery. Just handwork, folding stuff and putting it in boxes.
Like
a lot
tedious.
of that. Not really, just hand labor.
Okay.
Just handwork jobs, yeah. So
How old was Uncle Dwayne? Like when
17.
Oh, okay.
He started out 17. He's still in high school.
So you didn't have to have any kind of like certificate or anything.
They didn't even ask him. Of course,
Wow.
yeah, they done told him he was coming in to get him.
Right.
Okay. Right. That's the way
Scoop
it
that
works.
boy up. Yeah.
That's what happens when you work somewhere 24 years.
Yeah.
So then he went from there to the
Squeaky chair.
what's the press it's called? It run real fast.
Web press.
Web press. It goes back on the way. They post jobs on a board, and
Okay.
you apply for them. Do the same thing at FedEx and stuff. It's called promoting from within, which is
so
a
it's like
great thing to do.
Okay.
Once you get in the door, then you try to move up
Yeah.
and move. So they had posted and it was a lower end job, very lower end job on the web. So he wanted to get out of the binder as fast as he could.
Yeah.
So he went to the web and he worked in the web. And he worked back there. He'd come home full of ink, just covered in ink. Worked night shift the whole time. And
He probably.
I don't know. He
smelled.
worked there. He did that for 2 or 3 years.
No, I don't think so.
Was it a year?
It's something like
Probably about a year.
Probably about a year.
Pop went to Cloud Holloway.
They had a job come open up in prep department, and that's where he knew all the guys I ran around with, Larry Case and Greg Fault and all them, and
Steve
Taylor. All these guys that
Used to ride dune buggies with
Yeah.
him, camp with us.
Oh,
and
okay.
Dwayne, from when we camping and everything,
Yeah.
riding trails and everything, all
Pop
the
didn't
time.
want him riding no press, getting his finger smashed or
Okay.
losing a limb or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, he might need those.
And he told Clyde that.
And he told me, see, I just got him on the web press, and then I had to ask him to turn him loose on the web press and let him go to prep. And that was one of the hardest things I ever did. And he said, "Man, don't you worry about that." Said, if you want him up there, we'll see about getting him up there. He said, I'll help you get him up there.
Why was it like one of the harder things you've had to do? Because you had to go back on your word.
Stick
No,
his
well,
neck out.
Oh, okay.
and you imagine getting a guy a job and then he'd not have it too long, and then you turn right around and tell him, "No, well, I don't want him there. I want him somewhere else."
Oh, okay.
And he got him somewhere else.
He did.
Wow. That
Of
is
course,
a good
he
boss.
went to work underneath Larry Case and all the other guys he'd
Yeah.
known all his life.
Yeah.
Dwayne just had it made all the way through there.
Really, this was just like smooth sailing for him then at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I gotcha.
He did pretty good. Everybody liked him.
He's a hard worker. He's smart. He wants to do a good job.
Yeah.
You can always notice that.
Yeah.
Whatever he does, he wants to be the best he can
Yeah.
be at it, and he wants to do a good work.
Yeah.
No matter what he's doing, if he's driving a truck or if he's
Right.
in printing, he wants to be as good as he can be. That's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's a trait that all of us Griffith folk have. Of
It's a
just
good
even,
trait to have.
I mean, yeah. Even without us really knowing it, we're like, well, I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to do it the best that I can.
Yeah.
So you did all of that, and then...
How long did you work at the Holiday Press / A&S, Stafford and Loudon, American Signature?
Did it change names a bunch?
25 years.
Wow.
That's why he never had any retirement, because they've sold the company so many times.
Wow.
They sold companies 5 or 6 times anyway.
You ever go into a place in a commercial and say Standard on the toilets?
Uh-huh.
They bought them one time. Call it American Standard
I
A&S.
was owned by the shithouse company.
Shithouse company.
Then some dudes that worked there. There were some dudes that worked there, like presidents, and they bought it and called it something, A&S or American Signature or some crap.
American Signature Graphics is what I think it was.
And then they got rid of it and called it what, A&S? Just called it A&S.
I think they just went to A&S. Yeah.
It's called Stafford and Loudon for a little while.
Good for Stafford and Loudon.
The freak ever that was.
So like every time that they like change companies, your pension and or retirement would have to like start over?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I could imagine.
He's got one company, sends you $53 a month?
No, I get about 85 from this one
85,
company.
one company.
I've been there 25 years.
in the same like building.
Yep.
But because
He
it
moved
kept
from Lamar down Olive Branch with him.
Yeah, but because it kept changing hands.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is.
That would have been a good thing about a union.
Yeah.
Is that they could have kept selling the company if they'd have stayed in the union.
Yeah.
He kept paying his union dues, and he could have got his retirement through the union.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why didn't you do that, you silly Billy?
Because they voted it out. They wanted to go back to work.
Yeah, like you said, working it's like a pay raise.
So tell him
compared to
the story about your last, why you left A&S.
So did you leave voluntarily, or did they tell you to leave? Or both?
They told me I could work, but I'd have to go back there and catch signatures off at web press. I'd go down from running a whole department to going down to the smallest job on the web press.
So you basically going from like one of the top of the totem pole to near the bottom of the totem pole. Well, why did they want to do that?
Well, they wanted to get rid of me.
Oh.
You know.
Did you know why?
Yeah, they shut my department all the way down.
Oh, okay.
I was the last one in the department to leave.
So he had you imagine this table
Uh-huh.
as his department. And the biggest it was, you had what, 32 people under you? 23?
I probably had about 20-something.
20-something people under him.
Wow.
Had multiple printing presses in there.
Yeah.
And as times changed and technology changed, it started that's called a sheet fed press.
Okay.
It fed one sheet in at a time. It would print it, if you can think of a laser printer.
Yeah.
Well, the web press runs off a roll.
So just like a roller.
Continuous prints on both sides.
Oh, wow.
So his press, he would print off a sheet one side at a time, bring it over, flip it over, print the other side.
Okay.
Okay. And then send it to a folder.
Okay.
Okay. Web press comes off of a roll, a continuous roll, prints on one side, prints on the other side, and then folds it.
So
And you pick it up and set it off on a pallet.
So basically, the technology was just kind of like outpacing your department. Okay.
But now a sheet fed press looked so much better than a web press. So back in the day, for a year, it got all the way down to one printing press. How long was you at one printing press in the sheet fed department? 10 years. You had one printing press and you had 2 shifts on it. You run a shift and
What do you mean, how long did I...
you had one. There was one print press in the sheet fed department. How long did it run like that?
Not very long. It
Was it not?
was a couple of years, probably.
I thought it was longer than that.
No,
Okay.
Just felt longer.
felt long.
It felt, I mean, seriously, it felt a lot longer. Then it got down to one shift.
Mm-hmm.
You and what, Phil? Was his name Phil? Didn't Phil run the second shift? Run the press on second shift and you run on day shift?
No,
What was his name?
Phil Fancher.
Phil Fancher.
He was my helper.
That's a good name.
Mm-hmm.
I thought y'all had one press for years in there.
No, not there. Because it was, the web was the only thing printing down there for a while. It definitely wasn't sheet fed. Sheet fed was out there, you know, way before they shut the doors. Of course, they never did. Of course, right now they're
A lot of times it's they're toward the end.
Yeah.
They would have Pop print the cover of the book.
Okay.
And they would run the web on everything on the inside. That way when you pull up, you look at the magazine rack like a Kroger,
Yeah.
you've got a real nice looking magazine.
Yeah.
And the cover looks so good, he would print covers a lot. He did that for a while.
Oh, okay.
And they would print the rest of the book inside and on a web
The
press.
web machine. Okay.
So anyway, tell them about your last days there.
what
At A&S.
I don't know. It just
He worked through the weekend. They worked him through the weekend to finish a job up.
yeah.
He comes in on Monday morning. And what was the big guy that was your helper or feeder? It wasn't Lynn Thrower, it was the other guy.
Alan.
No, not Alan, the other guy. I can't remember his name. Comes to you and said, James, the riggers are here.
Riggers.
He said, riggers? He said, yeah, they're here to take our printing press apart. The guy sitting in the
Just
lunchroom.
Lynn Thrower, probably.
Said, Pop said, you're talking about millwrights. That's the guys that move equipment around.
Oh,
They
okay.
move around the country, they'll move anywhere. That's called a millwright. That's what
Okay.
that job is called, that
Okay.
trade. It's a very high-skilled trade.
Yeah. So they
And
basically come and like take a
they-
big machine like that
They'll
apart
move a
and then
printing
move
press,
it.
they'll move a CAT scan, they'll take them apart and put them back together.
Wow. Yeah, that is high skill.
It's a millwright job,
yeah.
okay?
Mills.
So, I mean, they may put a conveyor system together
Wow.
for Coca-Cola. So, he went from there and went walking around trying to find a supervisory person.
They all said nobody knew. Everybody up there in the front office and everything else said they didn't know anything about them shutting my press down then.
Isn't that kind of funny? Like, it's your job to know what's going on, and they have no idea what's going on.
So who'd you finally find that told you?
Well, I was waiting on Maxine to bring the schedule down to find out what I was going to run that week, what had to be off. And she didn't show up, and finally she come by, and I said, I guess I ain't got anything to run. She said, I don't guess you heard then, have you? And I said, no. Heard what? She said, they're going to move you, they're shutting you down, and they're going to ship the presses off. What little bit of equipment we had left.
Wow. So they basically just kind of like ripped it out from underneath you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
That's when I got mixed up with Jeff Klein and them up there,
Yeah. Yeah, so we went from there. So he was working 2 jobs for a while. He was almost 50. How'd you even hear about Pinnacle Press? Because you was working he was working 312s.
I worked there twice.
Yeah, but how'd you hear about it the first time? Was it in the newspaper or something?
No, it's...
I never knew that. So printing was going.
Charlie Bennett told me about it. He was working up there.
Okay, so Pop knew everybody in Memphis at printing, so that he worked at the same place, and people would come and go, and he stayed. So he's constantly meeting new people, and they'd leave, and then you run into them here and there.
You remember Dewey Overton from coming up there?
Mm-hmm.
See, I knew him way before.
He was an ink salesman, and then started his own deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
He sold ink forever, and then
Well, he worked
started
for
his own deal.
SC2 years ago.
Oh, was that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He worked for SC2.
So
Jack Denzer worked for SC2. When you get in the union, you get meeting all of them.
yeah,
Because, you have union meetings and stuff like
Right.
that, and you see all the people all over town.
and Memphis was a very big printing town. They had a lot of printing companies.
Really?
Had 2 or 3 large ones like Howdy Press. You had SC Tooth was a 100-something-year-old company.
Wow.
And then lithograph had gotten big. Alco Revere up here. You had and then you had a lot of small shops. Might have 10 or 15 people in there.
Right.
Probably 20 of them or so.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, printing started going to 312s. You could work 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, and not have to pay any overtime.
Okay.
Versus 5/8s, you get 24 hours a day, but only 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So you had 4 shifts. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then you had a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And he hired on at Pinnacle Press Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
And you're working days too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they had a night shift. I think they only had 1 night shift on the first side.
Okay.
So he was working over there, and he had 4 weeks vacation. So he'd just take vacation 2 days a week,
Yeah.
or he might take a volunteer layoff if work got slow.
Yeah.
So he's working up there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and he worked Thursday, Friday. And he did that for a while.
So you were basically working 6 days a week, like what, 12 hours a day?
Yeah, 8 and 12.
Super casual.
So, and then they just come to him one day and said they're going to go back to 5/8s. Isn't that right? At Pinnacle Press?
No, they said yeah, I think you're right about that.
And that's when you told him you couldn't do it. Because he
told
done
him I
worked
couldn't.
over it for 20 years.
Yeah.
He wasn't leaving that job.
No.
Right.
So,
So I was more or less quit up there and went back to just working at Holiday Press.
and then when he left Holiday Press, he hired back on at Pinnacle Press.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jeff McLean called me up and wanted me to have lunch with him. And I met him someplace when we ate lunch, and he offered a job to me. And
That was back at Pinnacle?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I went back up there.
So we all 3 worked there for a short time. Dwayne,
Yeah.
me, and Pop, all 3 worked at Pinnacle Press for a while.
Wow.
I wasn't really crazy about going back up there because I'd already had a little taste of his personality then.
Who's?
Jeff McLean.
Jeff McLean, one of the owners.
He's kind of bipolar. He literally was.
He was nuts.
He'd come in one day and he was good, and he'd just show up next day and he was just not a very nice person at all.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun working environment.
No, you got where you try to keep your distance from him.
Yeah.
Because you know who you got with. You know,
I
which
went
Jeff
back
you're
up
going to
there.
get.
I went back up there working 5 days a week at night shift.
3 to 11.
And not never knowing when I was going to get off work. I always knew what time I was going to work, but I didn't know what time I was
It was
going to get
terrible.
off.
The
Really?
guys on days wasn't very good.
So
And they wouldn't get much done, and they'd tell Pop, you couldn't leave till you get this much work done.
So you'd have to just basically play catch up and do half their job. Wow.
It was terrible.
And is that all while y'all are like still living in Horn Lake? Okay. When did y'all move to Horn Lake?
When we moved the plant from up on Lamar down to Olive Branch.
And then you moved with it, kind of down to Horn Lake. Okay.
Was that 74? 5?
It was around that. See, I hired on in '67 at Howdy Press, but I'm pretty sure that's when they moved down there, and I think I'd been there like 6 or 7 years or 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's when I moved down to Olive Branch with the place.
So another little tidbit on Lamar up there. I can carry you to a certain place and I can show you where it is. Anyway, they call it Holiday City. It was a corporate headquarters for Holiday Inn.
Wow.
And then right across the street, you had two or three plants. You had
Cross the street was the main office.
You had Holiday Press. You had the furniture place.
So like all their in-house.
Yeah, it was
stuff?
right across the street in those buildings.
Wow.
And then the home office was across the street and for the hotel and all them and all that.
Wow.
And then when they moved it, and it, so was Holiday Inn University already in Olive Branch?
Mm-hmm.
So did he develop that? Did Kimmons Wilson develop that industrial park, or was it the Jewish guys that developed that? Belts. Was it Belts that developed that, or was it Kimmons Wilson?
No, it was Kimmons Wilson.
So Kimmons Wilson developed the Olive Branch Industrial Park
Okay.
on Hacks Cross. All of that.
Wow. That's
So-
that's extensive down there.
On the corner where the golf course used to be, he had a hotel and a convention center, and he had Holiday Inn University. So back in the days, how Kimmons was so smart. So if you wanted to own your own Holiday Inn, buy that franchise, or if you were going to work for him and manage one, you had to go to Holiday Inn University. He would send you down there, and he would show you everything. He would teach you house cleaning. He would teach you how to make a bed, clean the room.
Wow.
He'd teach you how to run the front desk. His theory was, how can you manage somebody if you don't know what they're doing? So he would teach you all that down there.
Yeah.
Well, they moved, again, Holiday Press down to Olive Branch. It was one of the very first buildings there. It was right on the railroad tracks. You could bring trains in there.
That was really
And,
smart.
Yeah. So it was one of the first buildings down there. And still today, it's one of the biggest there. It's huge. And so, yeah, Kimmons was very, very smart.
Yeah.
Very smart. He had a huge influence in Memphis. But yeah. So he left there. He went to Pinnacle Press. And then where'd you go when you left Pinnacle Press? They actually fired you at Pinnacle Press, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Why'd they fire you?
Messed up a job.
And then you went to what, J.W. Moore?
Mm-hmm. And
He was a night shift plant manager. He actually went over there for a press job, and they didn't hire him. And he talked to Greg Falk.
yeah, Greg Paul knew Gary Moore, and got me an interview with
What, Gary or Ford?
Gary.
And then they hired him on his night shift plant. He was over all the whole place at night.
Oh wow.
And you liked it over there, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And how long did you work there?
Not very long.
You made it, what, a year? A little over a year, because they give you a raise.
But
And then
I didn't yeehaw with the.
and they brought him in. They gonna fire him because they said he spoiled the job.
Did you?
All
So
announced is when
he
you
says-
okay the job, you're responsible for it, and I okayed to run it.
Oh.
And
So he says to him, "Did you sell the job?" Well, he said, "Did you sell that job?" They said, "Yes, we sold the job. I didn't spoil the job then."
Yeah, so if they were able to make
I mean,
money
it
off
may
of
not
it,
have been perfect, but the job wasn't spoiled.
it was able to get sold and make them money.
Correct. So, anyway, the work had gotten slow, and yeah, and Pop didn't jihad with some of them others. So he was the newest. He's one of the highest paid guys, and he's one of the newest guys. So
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely an easy target if you're ready. If you need to get rid of somebody.
they did the same thing. Jeff Harris's dad, same thing. He left Heister. He'd worked at Heister like 18 years, and he hired on another place, and he worked there. He was one of the highest paid guys. Economy slowed down, work slowed down. They run him off. He'd been there about 2 years.
Wow.
Left an 18-year job for that place. And he said, "I know, well, the work got slow. I'm one of the highest paid guys there."
Yeah.
You come home from J.W. Moore. What happened? Is that when you bought the record?
that's when I bought the record, I think.
Wow. What kind of record was it? Just like a rollback?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was that red and white Ford. It was green and white when it started off, and I painted it red and white.
So I don't know. Was I born then yet?
I don't know.
I remember a brown one, and I remember a red one in the very, very beginning. Like when it was still out of y'all's house in Horn Lake.
You may not have, if you were an infant, you
Yeah.
would not remember. He probably had it.
I just wasn't old enough to know what was going on. Yeah. So when you bought that, did you just kind of take calls, like you were kind of just doing it on your own?
Actually,
cash?
the only two customers I had was Bebop and Whirlies over there on Peebles and Horn Lake Road.
Okay.
And then I'd haul cars for them, and I got to knowing some more shops around there, and I just got one at a time.
Yeah. So then it got to where like they would only call you if they needed some. And you're still running all of it like out of your house in Horn Lake.
Right.
So when did you join? Like when
99.
99.
1999, we bought a 1997 International. Used. Had 28,000 miles on it, and I think we give 28,000 for it, I think.
That's $1 a mile. That's a pretty good deal.
And had a 175 horse 5-speed. God, it didn't have enough power to get out of its own way. Unbelievable, yeah.
So how did it like tow anything if it couldn't?
Oh, it would go with just slow, very slow. But
It's testing your patience,
was,
is
you
what
know,
I'm hearing.
we just started going around drumming up work.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I'd sit at the house several days in a row. We had just enough work to keep one truck busy, and I just decided, I was like, well, are you going to sit here or are you going to get out and do something? So I just got up, got in the truck, started driving around. Just walk into a place, hand them cards, introduce myself, hand them cards.
Yeah.
Walk out and leave, drive down the road a little while, seen somebody else, walk in there and hand them cards, introduce myself.
Was that those like red and like gold cards?
The first ones were gray.
Wow.
And then secondly, I noticed back in the day, a lot of guys would have them rubber band together in a stack. It'd be business cards, and they'd get them out and they'd start looking for them. I know I got Bob's number in here, so I had ours red. So matter of fact, you might even see it in the stack. Or if they started throwing them around, I was bright red with gold letter. And the gold was Pop's idea. He said, let's get it gold, red and gold to stand out.
Yeah.
You might not remember our name, you'll remember our card.
Yeah. Because I remember those as a kid. The gold like reflective lettering.
It was a gold stamping.
It was very expensive versus a regular card, but that's what we did till we kept the same business card till we sold towing company.
Yeah.
All them years. So yeah.
Do you think like your time like in the printing business like kind of give you a leg up at least in that regard?
Yes, so I actually did a lot of work on the side. That goofy guy that lettered your truck, I cannot think of his name. Remember, he do stuff for Jeff Ingram. He lettered that black truck. He actually come up with our logo.
Really?
And then I took it and actually made the artwork. It's called artwork. I made the artwork from his. I didn't make the logo. I ain't going there. But I made the logo. I made the artwork for the logo so we could reproduce it.
So that's the logo. The with the rollback with the Corvette on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And our name.
Yeah.
Over and flat. That was his idea. That was I cannot think of his name. Bob. I cannot remember that guy's name. But
that's not the same guy who came up to the shop.
Odd character.
Was he the guy who came up to the shop like on the motorcycle to like letter y'all's car?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same one.
I remember that guy.
Oh, he was an odd character, man.
I said, even as a young child, I was like, this is as a 6-year-old, I was like, I'm 6 and I know you're weird,
Yeah, man, he was an odd character, man. But anyway, so I actually created an artwork where we could reproduce it, and we did. So we had our invoices printed. I was able to give that logo to someone they could use it and stuff like that.
I say it was a good logo, like the big bold letters and stuff. Like it was easy to pick up on.
Yep.
So it was just y'all two at first, and like he would stay busy, and then you would just go around like drumming up.
Yeah, or if he got more work he could do, he'd call me.
Yeah.
And then we just slowly got busier and busier.
So when did it become like a full-time, all the time? What do you think about what year? Like that was your full-time job?
2000.
2000?
Because I was in 99, I was working at Lithograph Printing Company, and I left Pinnacle Press to go to Lithograph to be in the record business. That was my long-term plan.
Okay.
That was our long-term goal. We talked about it off and on. I used to go with Pop on Saturdays and help him and stuff like that. And so they put an ad in the newspaper for a job in the pre-press department for 3 12-hour days a week. And like I told you earlier, that's what printing was going to. So I applied for it and I got it. And the guy, in his honesty, he told me, he said, look, man, it's going to take me a while to get this going. You're the first person I've hired to do 312s. I said, okay. So they hired me on days, trained me, and put me on second shift. And I worked second shift for a year, and I really didn't like it.
Was that night shift?
Second shift, yes, night shift.
Okay.
You got 3 shifts, first, second, third. First is the only day shift. It's 7 to 3 or 8 to 4. Then you got 3 to 11 or 4 to 12. Then you got 11 to 7, 11 at night to 7 in the morning.
That's how they do our nursing assistants. They have 3 shifts. It's like 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7.
11 to 7,
yeah.
So I worked second shift for a year and went up there and told him, I said, look, man, I got to get off second shift. I just can't stand it. I said, I see my wife for about an hour in the morning and it's it.
Yeah.
And then you were already here, and then Addie was born while I was working at Lithograph.
Yeah, because I remember like Mama would work during the days, and you would work at night. I have very few memories of that, but I remember it.
We'd work in the yard and different stuff. So, and then he moved me to third. He said, well, I can't put you on days, man. He said, everybody's on days, and all them guys been ahead of us. I said, what about third shift? All right, I'll move you to third. No problem. So I moved to third shift.
Was that better?
Oh, it was. I tried to do the opposite. So I would sleep while your mother worked, and I would work while she slept, so we would have the same off time.
Okay.
That was my goal.
Yeah.
It's very hard to sleep during the day. It's very hard to sleep. I would get off work and I would come home as fast as I could and try to go straight to sleep.
Yeah.
What would happen is if you had a few little errands to run, and when you got off work, you might mess around and work 3 or 4 hours, and I then kind of got going again, and then the sun's up, it's hard to lay back down.
Yeah.
So I did that for a year. And then they finally hired a girl. I remember they hired a couple of people, and one of them was a girl, and they finally moved to 312s. I worked Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. So right about that time, I guess it was God's time, and Pop had gotten real busy. He'd got more than he could do. And I hired on. I mean, they moved us, and wasn't long. I mean, it was right almost exact same time he went and bought that truck.
The second one?
Yep.
Yeah.
The red rollback.
Was this the same job where they like had started training you to like learn a machine or something, and then you had left, or was that something different? I vaguely remember that story.
Pinnacle Press was mad when I left because they'd sent me to school 2 or 3 times.
Oh, okay.
They were really mad about that.
Maybe that's what I was
didn't
thinking
care
of.
though. They should. Well,
You're like, well.
I was making. So Mark Craddock was sitting. Literally, they'd moved Mark up from the old style of pre-press into the new style up front. Mark was sitting right beside me, making $18 an hour, and I knew this. I was making $12.50, and they asked me to train him.
Oh yeah, that would make me very mad too. That's what happened. That's why I was able to get my raise. Paw Paw, did he tell you I got a raise here recently?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. But it was a similar thing. My very good friend is an occupational therapist. So I'm a PT, she's an OT. Normally, PTs get paid more than OTs.
Have a lot more schooling and stuff.
Yeah, and it's not to say one's better than the other. It just kind of is right now. Well, she got another job in Senatobia, where Grandma went. She got that job. Very good job. That's the goal. Basically, she, with the same company that I work for now, she was doing basically what I've been doing for about a year, and then was now making more than me. Not that she didn't deserve that. She absolutely did. But if we're going by PT makes more than OT, I immediately called my big boss and professionally and firmly was like, hey, can I have a raise, please? Because you're paying her more than me, and I've been here longer, and I bring in more money for you, you know. And I kind of, what was the wording I used? Like, I said something along the lines of like, yeah, I never get a raise unless I leave and get another job. And so that was me politely being like, if you don't give me this raise, I will go get another job. So they gave me the raise. But yeah, it was like a similar situation. It was like that. Like, they're making more money than you, and you're having to train them. Or, you know, you're bringing in...
That ain't right.
No, I mean, it just wasn't.
It's just no. It's like, if I'm bringing in more money for you, why is he making more than me?
I was sitting right here running my Mac, and he was literally sitting right here sideways to me. And they put him at the rip machine. And I'm watching out of the corner of my eye, and I'm still working. I'm watching. He kept sitting there and sitting. The monitor's off. There's a black monitor sitting in front of him, and I kept sitting there. I mean, a few minutes goes by. Then it dawned on me. This guy does not know how to turn it on.
How long? Like, so you'd been sitting there for like 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 or 10 minutes. And I realized he did not know how to turn it on. So he finally looks at me.
You bleeding good, Papa.
Well, you need to hold pressure on it, Pop.
Yeah.
You just need to sit there and hold pressure on it. It's in that joint, too.
Oh, yeah.
So he says, hey, Scott, how do you turn it on? I looked at him. I stood up. I said, hang on, Mark. And I walked out of the room.
God, I would have had to do the same thing. I'd have been so
And I went
mad.
and found my immediate boss, who was Claudia Tamer, who was a great lady, who had been in printing in California for years and was a good lady. I love Claudia. Still to this day, I think she's a great lady. Hard worker. Good. She knew a lot about printing, too. She was good. She wasn't the best boss, but she was a good lady, a hard worker.
Sometimes you can be a
She
good
just wasn't.
person,
she
just not
just
a good boss.
Wasn't. Anyway,
Yeah.
I still love and respect her, though. She knew a lot about color. I learned that, too. Even working in the pre-press. A pressman knows color. Claudia knew some color. Anyway, I went and told her. I said, what just happened? I said, Claudia does not know how to turn it on. I said, and they want me to train him. She said, they do. I said, he makes $18 an hour and I make $12.50. I said, I know what he makes, Claudia. She said, I'll go talk to him. Well, a couple of weeks goes by and she says, hey, they're not going to give you a raise. I said, okay, Claudia. I said, tell them I'm looking for a job.
Wow.
I said it just like I said, you be sure and tell them I'm looking for a job.
I mean, props to Claudia. You can tell she was fighting for you at least,
she was.
you know.
And so, anyway.
Like you said, the timing, because then that's when you were getting busy.
And then, but it took 2 more years. I worked at lithograph for 2. After I left there, I worked at lithograph for 2 years. So then they finally got us going on 312s. We were supposed to rotate every 6 weeks. we were supposed to do a rotate for days and nights, it's called AB shifts and this and that. Well, we all just worked it out together.
Like amongst yourselves?
Yeah, and we said, look, I forgot who was ahead of me. I said, look, man, I ain't going. I said, I ain't going days, and I ain't going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm going to work Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. Oh, nights. Nobody else wanted to do that. They said, that's fine. You do that. I said, all right, we're going to do it. We're not going to rotate. So we didn't.
Yeah.
So I would work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday I would leave about 3 o'clock. I'd get home at 3, take me a shower, make me a lunch, and be at work at 6. We worked 6 to 6.
Okay.
And I started every Thursday. I worked 24 hours. So I'd run a record during the day.
And then you'd go.
Then I'd do printing all night.
Wow.
I'd get off Friday morning and go home and lay straight down.
Collapse. How old are you when? Like if it was 2000.
29, 30 years old.
Okay. It's about how old I am now. I'm 27. So, gosh, I can't even imagine. I barely put through 12
for a
hours.
Year.
Yeah.
For a whole year. I did that for a whole year. And we come in on a Thursday night, just like any other Thursday night.
Yeah.
And they called us all in the room. Said, hey, y'all, we going back to 5 nights a week.
Oh, no.
I looked around that room. And I was like, I don't know about y'all, but I ain't going back to 5 nights a week.
What did everybody else think about that?
I didn't say nothing to nobody. No, well, some liked it, some didn't.
Yeah.
You know. So I was making $18.50 an hour. Mm-hmm. And some guys were making over 21. Now this is over 20 years ago.
I was gonna say, was that good for that time?
That was very good.
Okay.
20-something years ago, making $18.50 an hour with health insurance and retirement.
Yeah, that does sound really good. I wonder what that is.
20-something years ago, when a car you could buy you think of a truck, which is 70, 80 grand now, was 25.
Yeah. I wonder what that is, like, adjusted for inflation.
So, anyway, I got off, went straight to my own Pop's house, told Pop, I said, hey, we going back to 5 nights a week. He said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I didn't want to go back to 5 nights a week. He said, okay, how much you got to have? And it was $400 a week. I said, I need $400 a week.
Wow.
To make it. He said, we can make that. So.
Wow. $18.50 an hour in 2000 is about $32.50 now.
There you go.
That is impressive.
Yeah, that's what I was making.
Wow.
And guys, there's several guys making more than me.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys making over 20, 21. So, Pop was making over 20.
Yeah.
When he got out of printing.
He was
on a print press.
Yeah. You were a big baller. You're shaking your head.
So, anyway, that's how it started. $400 a week.
Now you know the rest of the story.
I worked one whole year. I didn't take a
bit.
dime out of it. The first year I didn't take a dime out of it. I lived off printing money.
Okay.
And then the second year I took $400 a week.
So
and then the third year he gave me $100 a week raise. I was making $500 a week. He's a generous person. He's a very generous person.
Your dad's so nice.
And then he made more money than me.
What? That's not how nepotism works.
Never, the whole time, I'll tell you this. So he had paid his house off.
Mm-hmm. The one in Horn Lake?
From working 2 jobs.
Oh, okay.
He was about 50 years old. He was late 40s, and he had saved all that money. He was working at Pinnacle Press.
Yeah.
And he paid that house off.
Wow.
So all his cars were paid for. All his house was paid for.
Yeah.
Had no kids at home. Dwayne, he's grown.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going, he doesn't have much living expenses, right?
Yeah.
So he never took much money out of the towing company. Never.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, because your silly self got
I
married.
I had a house, 2 small kids.
What was he thinking?
He never. He would take 2 trips a year. The last few years, he'd go to Bowling Green and he'd do the power tour. That was it. That's the only time he took off.
Wow.
He never took nothing out of the towing company. Just enough to get by.
Yeah, like just
He
enough
had
to
but he didn't have no living expenses. All
Yeah.
cars paid for, house paid for, everything.
Yeah.
So when he left J.W. Moore, he got on unemployment. He never drew a day unemployment his whole life.
Wow.
He drew unemployment and bought the wrecker, and that's how he made it.
Wow. Kind of like
Unemployment run out, and he done drummed up enough work to survive.
Yeah. That's kind of like, I guess, like a good example of like unemployment, you know, a make you feel good story.
He done paid it in
Yeah.
up till he was 50 years old.
Yeah. If anything, they owed you.
You think?
Right.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. You're almost like 50 years old with no retirement because of things outside of your control, despite you
Yeah,
doing
he
everything
did what he's supposed
right.
to do. He
Yeah,
worked
it's
the
like-
same place for 24 years.
Yeah. And this was before, you know, like now where like job hopping is
It's common.
common. It's
Very
almost
common.
encouraged, you know.
It's very common. Totally different from.
Back in, I mean, I don't want to say back in the day, but I mean, even like for you, like I guess your generation, it was more common to stay in one place.
Well,
You about ready?
I got to go home,
It's 3:15.
Yeah.
see how my lovely bride is doing.
She's probably thriving.
Did we help you any?
You
We
did.
kind of rambled some.
I like it when you ramble. You rambled for an hour and 10 minutes, so thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it recorded everything. I'm watching the lines do this, so
Okay.
hopefully it all stuck.